Let's understand trigonometric ratios for IGCSE math. Now, trigonometric ratios is a rule that we use when we will have one side given and we want to find an angle, or we want to find another side or angle, okay? Now, the first thing I want you to know is that before we use this trigonometric ratio rule, we need to know what is the adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse of the right triangles, okay? Now, in right triangles, the side opposite to the 90 degrees is always the hypotenuse. Like we said, we have two legs, which is right beside the 90 degrees, forming the 90 degrees, and opposite the 90 degrees is always the hypotenuse. The side right next to or beside the theta angle I want to find, okay, it is the adjacent. This adjacent will lie between the adjacent and the hypotenuse, okay, the theta angle. The last one is the opposite. The exact opposite to the theta angle you want to find is the opposite, so by its name, okay? Now, to understand this, let me give you these two examples. In this first example, the right triangle is here, okay? But the angle is over here, so we're gonna look from the angle. From the angle, the side opposite the angle is the opposite side. The side right next to the angle is the adjacent, and the side opposite the 90 degrees is the hypotenuse, okay? Here is the same triangle, but I put the theta angle over here. So now, opposite the theta angle, this is the opposite side. Right next to the theta angle, this is the adjacent side. And right opposite to the 90 degrees, this is the hypotenuse. Perfect. Now that we understand how to identify the adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse, we can look at the trigonometric ratio, which is telling us, now there's a mnemonic to memorize this, which is known as SOHCAHTOA. If you want to find the sides, sine, S stands for sine, C stands for cosine, and T stands for tan. So side, if you want to find a side, sine over is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. This is to find the side adjacent. Cosine. Cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse to find the opposite. And tan is equal to opposite over adjacent to find the hypotenuse. If you want to find the angle, now we know for angles the only difference is when we're calculating, we must calculate with the inverse. So we're going to use sine inverse, cosine inverse, and tan inverse, okay? Inverse to find the angles. Remember, S is sine, C is cosine, and T is tan, okay? And O means opposite, A means adjacent, and H means hypotenuse.